Hi FM and welcome to Storytime with Yaz. Today I wanted to talk to you about how I got healed of scoliosis and kind of give like an ongoing testimony of that because I didn't get to talk to you last week because it got really busy and I'm really sorry, but yeah, life happens. And so last week when I was praying about what I wanted to share, I actually felt like I should share how I got healed of scoliosis and just release that same healing over anyone who might be watching that is suffering from like any kind of back pain really. So here goes. When I was about 7 years old or 8 years old, I had this dancing teacher who had continually was like, yes, tuck your butt in, and I was like, I can't though. And so I kind of realized pretty early on that like maybe there was an issue because like I physically like couldn't do some of the things that some of the other girls could do. So as the years went on, like I realized like when it got really bad like later on that it was probably because of a lot of the sport and stuff that I was doing. So like when I realized that I was kind of getting it when I was like during the main part of my growth spurt, and a lot of the sports that I was doing were actually pulling my back one way, and because I was like hunching over and stuff, like my body had just like aligned that way rather than aligning a different way because I had my growth spurt like really early on when I was about like 8. So when I turned 18 and I got back from my year in Canada, I actually had started to get like a really bad knot in the right side of my neck and a lot of like pain and tension across my shoulders, and I'd started getting like really bad headaches and stuff like that. So I decided to go to the physio because like regular massages at like massage parlors and stuff like weren't really doing anything. And when I went to the physio, they were like, they had kind of confirmed everything that I was thinking. So I was like, oh, well, that kind of sucks, but at least now I can kind of get treatment and see just if I can do it, like get better like a bit through physio rather than doing anything really crazy and like having to go to hospital and do all that fun stuff. So when I started going to the physio, it took them like about 3 weeks to even get to the pressure point under my shoulder blade to release the knot in my neck. So it was like 3 hours worth of like proper like hardcore like masseuse treatment. So you can understand how bad it was, and we never took measurements like how bad my spine was or anything, but like people could physically see the difference like after I got healed. So a couple years later, when I was 23, 24, I went on a trip to Europe and I was backpacking for 3 months, and 7 weeks of those I spent on my cousin's air mattress in London. And when I put my backpack on after my trip, I actually felt, I could feel all of the curves in my spine and how drastically worse they'd gotten since the last time I put my backpack on, and I was like, shoot, like this isn't good at all. And I had to then go home and walk into a time where I like didn't have a lot of work, and so I was like, I have no way to pay for any kind of treatment on this even though it's so bad. And I was getting so frustrated because like all the tension headaches and stuff that I was getting were getting a lot worse, and I didn't really know what to do. And I'd heard that this like healing evangelist was coming to our church, so I was like, alright, hopefully I can get healed by this guy because I don't know how else I'm gonna get healed. And I just kind of started semi-claiming it in the spirit like pretty early on, and the morning that he was coming in that night, actually had to go down to the Gold Coast to do a photo shoot with my friend Amanda. And I drove to her house, which was an hour from me, and then I drove like about 1.5 to 2 hours out into these like lavender fields, which was so beautiful. And we like did our shoot out there and drove all the way back, and then what should have taken me an hour to drive home, and I should have been at church half an hour early, actually took me 2 hours. So I ended up missing all of praise and worship, and I'd pulled over to like a service station to text my friend to tell them how bad the traffic was and to save me a seat because I didn't want to miss out. And so like I went back in, finally made it to church after praise and worship, and sat in like the second or third row and was watching how this guy was moving in his spirit, like learning from him and stuff like that. And then he just started being like, okay, like who needs healing, raise your hand. And my friend like raised my hand for me because he could see literally how much pain I was in. And I went up. I'd had like at that point one of like the worst headaches of my life, and I was feeling really physically ill as well as like obviously having a lot of pain through my body. And I'll actually link, the healing is on YouTube, so I'll link it down below so you guys can watch it if you're interested. But he called me out and he was just like talking me through, you know, how long have you had the pain for, what's the scale of pain today, all that kind of stuff. And I was just being really honest, and I had to, like, I remember him saying, okay, he just put his arm behind me and he like kind of pushed me over his arm, and I felt like my back turned to jelly, and I had this like out of body experience, and I could see like from God's perspective like what was going on in the room, but like my head, like everything was really muffled, like I couldn't hear anything that he was saying, so I couldn't hear what he was teaching, I couldn't hear like what was going on. I just like saw this like swirly mass of people, and I was like, whoa, like none of this matters, God is solely focused on me. Like the only thing that was in focus was like me. And I was like, whoa, okay, cool. And so I like when I came back to, I was standing up, like he'd pushed me up, and everyone in the crowd gasped, and I was like, oh. And my instant response was to like check my neck, because the like knot that was there was like really noticeable. It was like the size of like a golf ball, like it was huge, and the knot was completely gone. And I just started bawling my eyes out, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm healed, that knot is gone. And I was like, tried to like crack my back, because every small movement that I made, it was like and like I couldn't even crack it. And I was like, oh my gosh, like I'm healed, like this is amazing. And it was probably one of the most surreal moments of my life. Like my back, like I walked back and I sat, like I knew that I was gonna get healed, so like I specifically like wore a shirt that like showed off my back, and I literally had the people behind me go, your back looks physically different. And I was like, oh, it feels physically different. And then someone else was like, you almost look taller. And I was like, ah. Like the Lord, he just knows our heart and he sees our heart. And I was just so overwhelmed with his love. And I remember the next week I went to do this ministry called Red Frogs. For those of you who haven't heard about it, it's basically like a ministry team that goes down and helps at Schoolies Week, which was like for people that have just finished grade 12, they could just go and have a party. And Red Frogs just goes and like enters into like hotel rooms and stuff, and just make sure all the kids are safe, and walks them home and stuff like that. And when I got there, I had like a whole bunch of people just be like, hey, how's your back feeling? Like people that I'd never met in my life. And I was like, how do you know? Like surely not this many people are getting like words of knowledge that my back just got healed, like what the heck. And so I finally asked someone, and then they were like, oh, like didn't you know your healing's on YouTube? And I was like, are you kidding me right now? Like that's insane to me. And like it was so funny because like I had really bad insomnia at the time because of my back as well. Like I couldn't sleep because I could never get comfortable, and that also was broken off like that night. And because I'd asked his wife to pray for me for that as well. And it was really cool like to go into this, like into that week like without anything holding me back. I felt like spiritually lighter. And that week as well, like usually I couldn't sleep when it was light out, like, and I had like we had 2 6 a.m. shifts and a 4 a.m. shift, which meant we didn't finish our nights until then. And so like most of the time that I was asleep was during daylight hours, which I could have never done before that. So I was like, praise the Lord. And that week at schoolies as well, we actually had this guy open up to us and say like, yes, he would love prayer because of what I'd shared with how I got healed. And he'd been in like this crazy rugby league accident, and he just had like half of his face was like paralyzed, he couldn't move. And yeah, it was really cool to be able to open up and like have people like say yes to us to pray for them because of what had just happened for me. And to be honest, like I couldn't even crack my back for like almost a month. And I went into the to get a massage like a couple weeks later, because I'd actually had one booked at like Pure Indulgence, and they were like, oh, you need to eat more vegetables, your back has no muscle. And I was like, that's impossible, because like a couple of years ago they were saying like there was so much tension and like that they couldn't release anything. So I was like, well, that if that isn't obvious that I got healed, like I don't know what is. And yeah, so like it was really funny because like the first time I came out to America, I actually got to pray for my friend Alona, who had the exact same curves in her spine as what I did, and I was so excited. And then last year, actually a year and a half ago, when I came out to the States, my friend Tessa had asked, like my friend Tessa and I were staying at my friend Diane's house, and her sister Ashley was like a nail artist, and she like had offered to do me like a 4th of July nails, to which I was like, of course, I would love that. And so when she was doing my nails, Tessa had asked me, hey, yes, like I've never heard your story of how you got healed of scoliosis, like would you mind sharing? And I was like, of course, like that would be great. And so I just like had no filter, and I just like went for it, and I explained everything like what I just said to you guys, and she was like, wow, yes, that's amazing. And then we were kind of like just like talking about a couple other things, and then at the end of the night she said to Ash, really like on the down low, like, hey, like if your back's too sore to do my nails, like don't worry, we can do them tomorrow. And Ash was like, oh, it's feeling okay now, but like we'll just do them tomorrow anyway because it's pretty late. And we just went to bed, and I kind of didn't even realize what had happened until the next day when I was going to visit some friends in Colorado, and I like woke up and I was feeling really ill, and my back was in a lot of pain, and I was like, and my neck, like the knot, there was like not a physical knot in my neck, but the same kind of pain as when I had this knot in my neck. And I was like, I know that this isn't mine. I literally just shared that testimony last night, like this can't be my pain. And I was like, Lord, like what are you doing? I haven't experienced this before. And so all day, like I couldn't really eat anything, I couldn't really drink anything, I couldn't really do anything. I was just feeling physically ill, and I was like, this isn't even mine. Like I don't know how to explain it, but it's not mine. And the pain left when I got on a train to go to the airport, and I was like, alright, like that's super weird because I was getting pain before and now I'm not getting pain. And so I was just trying to process it. And when I landed in Colorado, I actually had a message from Ashley, and she was like, hey, can you send me like the link to the YouTube, like where you got healed and blah blah blah. And I was like, hey Ash, this is gonna sound, and it kind of sparked my memory from the night before, and I was like, hey Ash, this is gonna sound super random, but do you actually have pain like across your back, up the right side of your neck, and like down this part of your spine? And I was like, did you feel so sick all day until this specific time, that like so sick that you like couldn't really do anything? And she was like, yeah, how did you know that? And I was just like, oh my gosh, like the Lord physically gave me your pain, and I know that you don't have to deal with that anymore. So I just sent her a quick little prayer over text. Over text, it was like over Messenger, over Facebook Messenger, and I was like, here you go, like, bless you, like, thank you for asking me. I really hope that, like, that pain doesn't come back. And she's like, yeah, as you don't understand, the pain just left. And like to this day she hasn't had any pain in her back. So I would just like to release that testimony, not just my testimony but Ash's testimony, over anyone who's suffering from back pain or scoliosis or anything like that. If you want further prayer or have further needs, like I actually have been feeling a lot of tension through my back and through my shoulders and stuff lately, and I know that it's not mine. So if you are experiencing that, please, please, please DM me or let me know in the comments down below, because I would love to pray for you and I would love to unlock this and unpack this issue for you, because I don't believe anyone's supposed to live with that kind of pain or pressure. So I love you guys and I hope that this blesses you. Please share it with your friends if you know that they are struggling with like back pain or scoliosis or tension in the neck or anything like that, because I would love for that to be released. So love you, love you, love you guys, and I will talk to you really soon again. Bye for now.